Perfect. We are live with High on Hollywood. I'm your co-host, Austin Campbell.
I'm your host, Clint Flurry.
I've never been clear on whether we're co-hosts, hosts.
Does it really matter?
Not really.
We are co-hosting this thing together, and we are also hosting this thing together, so
Can we just
this is a matter of terminology. We're the people that are talking.
Heteronormative life partners in crime, on air, and in written form. Austin Campbell and Clint Flurry. Oh my God, Clint Fury.
We were just talking about wrestling names. I'm Clint Fury.
Exactly. You know, no, I don't know what my wrestling name would be in that case. And this, by the way,
Afrotastic.
Just Afrotastic. Yeah, actually, you know what? It was a line in Hairspray that I said, and now I've just picked it up and run with it for the rest of my life. So yeah.
That's actually beautiful. That's an awesome origin story.
Yeah,
I picked it up in Hairspray,
and
now I am that guy. I'm Afrotastic.
Grade 10, man. When my hair was like, that was
awesome. I missed that. That was huge.
I gotta, you know what? One of these days. I mean, I don't know. Depending on how long this whole pandemic thing lasts.
Well, you could pretty much grow one during this pandemic.
Oh, it's happening. Just like I'm trying to grow something here, but we're figuring it out. Anyway, no, I still have a DVD of me and Hairspray, and I kind of want to have a little, a little watch party or something. Just
that would be so sweet.
Because it's terrible. I mean, it's a high school, but I mean, it's not terrible.
Wow.
It's just, looking back, I cringe at my own performances because I don't like watching myself. Everyone else is brilliant and they're amazing. Like, watch them today. After you see them, I will be able to tell you, okay, this is this person's Instagram. Go watch them do this stuff and be on TV and stuff. Just amazing performers and then very talented triple threats, shall we say. So
yeah. Are you your own worst enemy? Is that what you're saying? You're just like, I just can't stand watching myself on television.
I have revealed my utmost vulnerability on air now at this exact moment.
That's his kryptonite. Just shame him.
It's like the picture of Dorian Gray. If you show me a picture of myself, I will instantly die.
Yeah. That's it.
I can't see. Yeah, I can't see myself.
All right, now I have the mode to control you. You are now my victim.
Whoa! And on that note, that's almost like what V'ger does in Star Trek.
Kirk unit.
Carbon units.
Infesting Enterprise.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
And like that skimpy little thing that she wears when she comes back to the Enterprise. I mean, she appears naked at first because, of course, but then
why not? This movie needs something.
Yeah, we got to
throw
spice
a
this
naked
up.
lady. Show anything.
We got to spice this up.
Yeah,
but
okay. You said you watched it. You liked it. And
Tayana had me and Tayana kind of went over like a list of our notes at the end of the movie because this movie actually has potentially a surprising amount of layers that as English majors, I think we can definitely peel back on it. And I think, me and Tayana also wanted to point out too that, or Tayana and I should say, wanted to point out that
as English majors,
yeah,
it's okay. I'm terrible with grammar.
That
I'm a poet.
Well, and you do know it. I was gonna say, and you don't even know it, but you do. So unfortunately, that doesn't apply. No, that we don't think that the filmmakers were necessarily smart enough. Not smart. Oh my God, I just said that. Not smart enough, but did not intend for some of these things to be read into, such as the long shots in the film.
We'll be talking about the long shots of the film,
and I'm excited. Yeah, okay. But that's just kind of my initial
impression.
Yeah, I guess I should say. There's just so much to say because it's just so thematically layered, and that's why I think it's structured the way it is too. Right?
Yeah. You know what? That makes a lot more sense now, because when I watch this movie, and I'm going to take you in the Wayback Machine. I can't even remember the first time. I was just a kid. I was young, but I hated it. I thought it was so fucking boring. I was just like, what is going on in this movie? Yeah. Oh my God, give me Wrath of Khan, please. Okay, let's watch that. Why am I watching this movie? And now you're definitely right. It is, now that I watched it this week, and after such a period, there is definite layers to this movie that you could unfold. It's not a terrible movie. No, it's long. It's a long movie, and that's why I say a lot of the aesthetics, like in my opinion, a lot of those long shots could have been cut down. Like let's go with the Enterprise scene when Kirk and Scotty are driving in their little vessel, their little pod towards the Enterprise, and they go around the entire ship. And you're just sitting there waiting, and they're literally going as slow as molasses through this thing. You're watching people flip around in space in their spacesuits, and I get it. The grandiose scene, it is supposed to be a big moment, a big scene, and it's beautiful because look at all the miniatures that were in this movie. Like,
well, yeah.
Like I was telling,
they kept going over budget though.
Like this is. Well, yeah. Well, it's telling Xander was like commenting on the CGI, and Xander, that's not CGI. That's all someone built this completely to scale and literally had a camera shoot around this. And it was you got to the front and you're like, okay, get into the ship. And then they go back around again to the pod door, which is at the back of the ship already. You went all the way around. This scene just took forever. And then when the pod moved into the Enterprise and it connected with the Enterprise, it was this big, grand, dramatic. The music is all at climax.
The score was beautiful.
Clicks, and then cut, and you're inside the ship. It's just like the music wasn't even finished playing when it cut either. It was just a terrible cut and transition over to this thing, and you're just like, now you're just all that's it. That was the end of your scene.
Does that not though lend itself to a reading of the film that suggests that those long shots and those shocking moments of why would you make that choice
that's
are part of the film's,
that's what killed the movie.
Well, no, but part of the film's theme of searching for answers and identity. And new identities being formed, within old identities, and in the sense that people change. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're completely different people, but people change. I'm not the same person I was 2, 3, 4 years ago, not even 1 year ago, and I think that's part of the thematic fabric of the film. So. A really ultra English major reading of the film is meta shots. It's that those are meta shots, exactly. Although I think the spacesuit guys were CGI. Everything else is models for sure, but I think the spacesuit guy was CGI. He looked particularly unrealistic.
Well, there was no CGI back then. It was 1979 when this movie came out. I mean, it was not in that. It exists. It was like the CGI shots. It's just trick shots. What it was is they have the background, and then it was kind of.
I gotta know now.
It's almost like a prototype to the green screen kind of thing. It was all animated behind it, and then they had people in front. Think about it like back in have you ever seen those really old school 30s and 20s where black and white things where the camera would pull back and you'd see the horse and the people would and the screen would be going around in circles. It's kind of like that. These sets were built these huge sets. Even when you got into the cloud and you started seeing the planet-sized satellite. That must have been just a feat to build. Like it
looked
like it went on forever. Like it looked like you built a fucking universe inside this film.
Identity as a construct, represented by the gigantic construct that is V'ger.
Wow, that is some deep level
like,
shit right there.
What the fuck? Like,
okay, you know what?
Read this movie like that, yeah. But that's
you know
where
what?
we're going.
You could write that paper. You could definitely write that paper.
That's what Tiana said. That could be somebody's like dissertation, right?
Like, for sure.
3-page.
You could totally write that paper
at the very least.
I mean, who do you want to start off with? Because when you're talking about identity and change, each character in this place has their own storyline. You could follow Kirk, which is great because you're getting reintroduced to Kirk, who you left off in, after season 3. Kirk is the man. He's the captain of the ship. He's, the idol, the icon, the god figure.
Right.
And then you get back into this movie and you have a really morally flawed man that you're introduced to.
Well, and
Admiral
you have to
Kirk,
contend.
He's like, you know what? I want the Enterprise. And he just totally stole it from Decker.
This is the thing, immediately off the bat, that, Tiana pointed out and that I agree with wholeheartedly. There's so much wasted potential in the complexity of the tension between Kirk and Decker, because they could, like, Decker just basically folds ultimately.
Yeah, he's just like,
and then
how do you?
And then in the end, when he dies, they're just like, all right, business as per usual. They're like, oh, that was sad. And then it's like, all right,
he's dead
that way.
Don't list him as dead. List him as missing, because that's some sort of symbolic thing. It's like, you know what?
He's still out there, really, if you think about it, guys.
He is still. He's missing. But like, what about his family? Like, what about Deckard's mom that we don't get to see? Did Deckard have a mom? Obviously not. We don't get to see him. But he had to be put there. Because like Deckard's mom's probably sitting there. It's like, what the fuck?
What happened out there? He was the captain of the Enterprise like a week ago.
He's missing. He's not dead.
Yeah, he was like, what the? Because totally. Kirk just comes in, and you almost get this sense that Kirk's superiority is being threatened, right? He feels threatened by Decker being in that position of power, and poor Will is just like, listen here, you can't just. And then Kirk's just like, shut up. It's an order. And he's like, oh, okay, I guess. And then Spock comes along and then takes his new position as science officer. And he's like, well, I can't argue with that. You're Spock. And then he's like, well, there you go. I'm just demoted again. It's fine.
Yeah, well, he's still commander. He's still a high officer.
And
okay, let's talk about Bones. I want to interject this with Bones, because Bones.
McCoy.
Okay, because there's 3 narrative threads here. There's Kirk, there's Spock, and then there's Deckard.
Yes, I would agree.
But the top 3 guys have always been in the original series. Has always been Kirk, Spock, and Bones. And Bones has always been the angel on the shoulder. He is literally Kirk's moral compass. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason why Bones is on that ship, is to be Kirk's moral compass. He didn't need a doctor. He didn't need to bring Bones back. He's just like, I just need you. I need you, because on any mission this big in size that we ever had, you always stopped me from doing something stupid.
Okay, but how awesome
owes his life
that?
And his career. Well, yeah, that's the underlining thing about Star Trek is friendship, right? It's the friendship between those people.
Open. Like this is the other thing that separates Star Trek from other series too, is that open male intimacy. That is still just open male intimacy.
It's there.
And just like, I need you. But and even with Spock and Kirk, like, all of these male friendships are actually really complex and actually really meaningful.
Because even Spock needs Bones. As much as those two have crash tensions, exactly. Bones has always been there to get Spock to think about his human side. That's what who Bones is. He's constantly he's Spock's human side and Kirk's morality, and he basically gets them to stop being so freaking arrogant, because that's what they are.
yeah 100%, right? Like, you know, Tiana also pointed out, like, that scene where it's Bones and Kirk and Spock in Kirk's quarters. They're framed by, like, the windows, and Spock kind of stands outside of the framing of Kirk. So it's like they're in separate kind of, you know, realms, and there's still that sense of detachment at first. You know what I mean? Even though Spock has chosen to, you know, not go through with Kolinar, and
well, he can't.
You know, yeah, he's like, I can't.
He literally can't. I mean, that whole opening scene. This is kind of a through line through Spock's journey. In that was another thing, is because, like, through the first 3 movies, is that Spock needs to get elevated. He needs to find his own path, because his human side is preventing him from reaching Kolinar. So it's all about him discovering
his journey is not complete yet.
His journey. This movie is all about existential crisis, right?
Yeah,
it's all about it's all about existence and purpose and feeling, and that's Spock. Spock got to that point. He's like, yes, I'm gonna fully become Vulcan. What I've always wanted to, like, my achievement was to be. I'm a Vulcan. I want to be a Vulcan, but he can't fully become a Vulcan because he can't go through Kolinar. So now what is he? Right, which is his journey throughout this movie, and actually throughout not only. Throughout this movie, but through Khan and Search for Spock, who he literally is almost like a Jesus figure that gets rebirth. Right. And that's something we'll probably analyze later. But it's all about his discovery of who he is in the grand scheme of the universe. Right.
But it's all based in actions too, right? And that's part of the performative aspect of identity that makes it a construct too, which ties into the whole theme of identity as a construct in the film, and ties Spock into that too. Tiana sent this to me last night. His performative emotion purge feels more like something he felt he had to do in order to better fit in Vulcan society, which he had never been well received in and got even further from after serving on the Enterprise. So, I mean, he didn't quite feel like he fit in there either. And he was kind of shunned already. So, I mean, it's like, I don't know. I think, there's some tension there. But such a life, as Spock said, is barren and cold. Yeah. You know?
Well, I think that has to do with I know, because you're throwing it at me, and I have this thing. Well, because Spock is different, trying to fit in on one side of the crowd, right? He's either going to be trying to be Vulcan, or he's trying to be human. And what the end of Star Trek the Motion Picture tells us is that when 2 sides merge, they become something else, right? Supposedly, so now Spock is, now Spock is this merged identity, this new identity of human and Vulcan alike, and we don't have to call that human or Vulcan. We can call that something completely different. We can call ourselves, we don't, like, when it comes to like thinking about our humanity and thinking about our species becoming one together, becoming equals, we can evolve past this construct of humanity into something. We can define ourselves as something completely, entirely different. We can define ourselves as Terrans, for Christ's sakes, and that's just one species. We are now one. We don't destroy or deny our culture, because Star Trek has never done that.
No, exactly.
Everybody's allowed to practice their own faith. Everybody's allowed to live in unity, and I think that's what this movie is kind of saying. That's the overarching gravity of this story.
Is about harmony. I like that. Well, I mean, the fact that Spock's idea or is to shoot himself inside of V'ger and then mind meld with it, basically. And then, And then that whole little monologue he get, like it's a tiny monologue, but it's great. Just the moment between him and Kirk and Bones when he's laying on the hospital bed. And I forget exactly what he said, but just about being human, you know, and feeling. And that's what makes it. That's what makes it, man. But I mean,
exactly, like, because think about it, like, to purge all feeling is to deny beauty, is to deny death, is to deny these constructs that we believe is that makes us human, right?
Well, and V'ger's smile at the end and like some of its actions, right? Because it's not, at least it's suggested that it's not Ilya anymore.
Yeah, well, it has her memories.
You know,
and it's completely othered.
You know,
completely. It's not her. It's a construct of her.
But the fact that it basically looks like it's fallen in love with Will at the end suggests that, you know, it's not that change is possible and that harmony is possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Based on what you're, you know, based on what you
based on what I'm saying.
You know?
But it's not just about harmony.
No,
because that is definitely an element. Because the other element is also about discovery. Yeah, it is once you find
Star Trek Discovery only on Sundays. No, I don't know.
Well, that's what Star Trek's all about. I mean, that's the whole reason that we went into space in the first place. Is money, but
it brings it all full circle.
Yes, it's about exploration, and like when we decide to unite and become something more than humans in this sense of humanity that we have now, that's discovering a whole new culture, a whole new species, a whole new exploration of life, the universe, and what that means.
A whole next generation only on Sundays. No, I don't know. But
the whole next generation is going to discover V'ger or Voyager.
Now, you know what Tiana suggested? She said that we should watch the first movie in each, you know, series of movies. You know what I mean? So that we've watched the motion picture.
Next one is Generations.
Next, we watch Generations.
Yes.
And then we watch the first of the reboot series, and then we you know, in the end, we compare them all.
I like that idea.
You know,
because there's lots I could tell you about Generations. I've said it to speak to you before. I am a Next Generation guy.
Yeah.
Next Generation was my Star Trek. It was my Star Trek.
Janeway all the way.
Picard,
I have to say,
Picard is my captain. I love Kirk. I love the original series as much as like.
Okay, and you know what, Tiana and I wanted to get this out of the way. Okay, to any of you, you know, I'm looking at you people. Who say that William Shatner is a bad actor. You know what? Go watch a movie. Go watch Star Trek. You have never seen Star Trek if you actually believe that, because we're not watching the same man give the same performances.
No.
You know?
Watch Boston Legal.
But yeah.
You want to see William Shatner at his peak.
More contemporary example.
Boston Legal. Denny Crane is an amazing character.
Watch Miss Congeniality. He's hilarious in that too.
Or there's a Twilight Zone episode before he was in Star Trek.
Yes,
Twilight Zone. And
Terror at 10,000 feet.
There was two of them. Actually, because there was another one with it now, but it's he's been in a couple Twilight Zones, and he's not a bad actor. His delivery has become, because it's not bad acting, it's just how his choices that he makes.
It's stage acting. It's 100% stage acting.
That's what it is.
Exactly. And also, Kingdom of the Spiders is another really great William Shatner movie from like the 70s that I'm a big fan of. Watch it.
You know, another person that didn't get its due. Like all those actors on that show got typecasted so badly. So true. And they had so much potential to go. Like Leonard Nimoy, and you got a spider on you or what?
Yeah.
Oh no, you would see me. I would be gone.
I'm under attack. Did you see it?
I didn't see anything.
Okay.
Just saw you just freak out all of a sudden.
That's even
It's
more.
like, you know what? When we play back this tape, we're gonna send it into Nuke's top 5. It was a ghost. The ghost.
Actually, I know exactly why that happened, and it is because this shirt was in a basket. This is my Trekkie shirt, that Tiana got me, and it was in my laundry basket. And I bet you anything, that little bugger was probably just chilling in there. And you know what? I'm gonna have to set myself on fire later. Oh well, it's over. I was just thinking about it.
Spider crawling around on me. Fuck that.
Woo! Okay, well, the rest of this interview will be conducted under duress. I don't know why I called it an interview.
I got a spider on me. No.
Now I got hair all over me.
We're gonna have to.
Every time I feel a little thing, I'm gonna be like. Bloop, 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 bloop. I'm not on crack or meth, people, I promise. I'm just potentially crawling with a little 8-legged freak. I like spiders. I just don't like when they're just hanging around me. Literally hanging, because I'm pretty sure that guy literally just did one of those.
I'm cool with spiders, as long as they stay the fuck away from me.
I'm good with tarantulas.
It's over.
I'm good.
I forgot about my coffee. Hey, I smoked a huge bowl, and I forgot about my coffee. And then we started talking about Star Trek, because this, as much as I want to like this movie, it does get really, really boring. Like, do you find it does get boring? There's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of long shots. They were just
let's be honest. If I didn't have Tiana there to talk during the long shots, and to give me some good theories and ideas for today, I would not have stayed awake. Probably. It would have been a bit harder anyway. I would have stayed awake, but I would have been a lot more upset by the end of it.
Well, I don't know. That's why I was not pissed off at my kids when Xander fell asleep, when Bud fell asleep, and when Sissy there, she was like totally out of it.
Yeah.
She was deep into her tablet and stuff like that. So I was like, no, I'm not going to get mad at this, because I want to look at my phone now.
Yeah.
So that's what ended up happening there. I don't know. There was a lot of choices, and I get what you're trying to get at, but I think those choices could have been cut out a little bit more. It didn't need to be a 2-hour movie. It could have been cut down quite a bit. I think a lot of the exposition was just unnecessary.
It's definitely,
and honestly, I'm pretty sure it's because they built those massive sets, and they were like, well, we're over budget. We might as well showcase them as much as possible. We might as well get as much film of them as possible, because they are beautiful. They are aesthetically beautiful. They are, like, if you could probably take each frame and put it up in an art gallery without the name Star Trek on it, and people would be like, wow, this is amazing art. Like,
well, and that was my thought, that this was like, they're like, okay, we blew the budget, let's show off what we used it for. Like, we got to show,
trying to make it symbolic,
where the money went, and make it, because it's also in terms of identities and staking new identities and just evolving identities. This is an evolution of Star Trek itself. This was supposed to be a pilot for a new series for Phase 2. And it just became Star Trek the Motion Picture. So I feel like that's also partially why the film feels like, the first half is this long, boring exposition dump. And then the last half is like an original series episode, but like a special episode, like a new special episode. You know what I mean? Because as soon as they all start, once they're all in the, on the bridge, and they're all, interacting again, it's like, this just feels like a new episode. Wow.
That's it. That's how I felt. And it was an extra long episode.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't want to say that today because I was thinking, well, someone's going to argue with me. It's like, well, that's what Wrath of Khan is. But Wrath of Khan had a lot more action. It dealt with a lot more the militaristic side of Star Trek.
Wrath of Khan is just a more competent film. Yeah. It's literally just a better film.
It's a very tight film, and it is an achievement. Like this one is an art piece. Like this one embodies the idea of what Trek represents to the world, the philosophy behind Roddenberry, the Roddenberry, the scripts and those that were written for the original series, it deals heavily on philosophy and philosophical terms. Like these writers had read Kant and read all the philosophers, right? And it shows in each episode because it deals with morality and humanity and connectivity and discovery and all those, like, not only just problematic ideas of how to interact with new species and interact with each other, but also the benefits of what and I'm going to use this term, of what a socialist society looks like. Right.
No, exactly. I think it's also telling that... Holy fuck, I lost my thought. God damn it.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I can get very passionate when we talk about politics, about the Trek politics.
Well, you know what? I love Trek when it comes to politics, though. Like, I mean, not that, you know, Trek has always been, not that Trek is unproblematic, but I love what Trek posits, you know what I mean? That future where it is about exploration. It's not, you know, because there's so many post-apocalyptic storylines. Even I'm guilty of writing in that genre, you know what I mean? And I mean, it's just so tempting because the world can be so bleak. It can seem so bleak, and the outlook definitely can seem so bleak. Although I think there's also, and I'd like to defend the post-apocalyptic genre, because I think there's also within that genre an inherent optimism in a sense that human beings can survive and will survive and carry on, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just a different way of looking at how it's suggesting maybe, you know, that we'd be taken back technologically instead of manage to join together and push forward. But that's what I love about Star Trek, is that's what it's about. Is that, you know, we join together and we push forward. Even, you know, corruption still happens and things still happen.
Oh yeah.
There's always, you know, a sense of justice and morality, and
it's not a utopia.
No, and of course that's important to know.
It's a way better society. I mean, there's still racism, there's still sexism, there's still the ideology pushing throughout those narratives, but those narratives are being used to teach us how to cope with those problematic features. And that's the point of that show, is saying, okay, well, here's what what this imagination of what a utopia could look like, but how to get there. Like, you can look at Star Trek as two different things. Star Trek is about colonization, and it's about exploration,
right?
But the fact of the matter is, how they colonize, they don't interfere with the politics and the ideologies of the planet, of the other planets, right?
The Prime Directive is such an important, I mean, symbolic and thematically relevant tool throughout every series of Star Trek. Like, it's fascinating.
It's a code of honor. It's like, it's right next to "Thou shalt not kill," which we do all the time. We break that rule all the fucking time.
And the Prime Directive gets broken, you know, and you know, bent and, you know, looked at as a gray area here and there, right? And exactly, every captain, every leader in Star Trek has had to, you know, consider and weigh the Prime Directive in situations that may require you to consider it twice, you know. And I think that's a fascinating, it seems like an endlessly fascinating kind of plot point to pull on, right? Like, and that's why every series eventually turns to it, because it comes up constantly. but I think it serves as a reminder of what Roddenberry has been trying to say with the series for forever, even Beyond the Grave, which is, this is the way forward, or this is my vision of how we could unite and move forward. You know what I mean? And in this kind of future, and I think that's it's just an optimistic outlook. It's an optimistic outlook.
At least it used to be. I don't know.
Yeah, Picard, I mean, now you could say,
Picard and Discovery's narratives are different, but that's to make them more relevant. And because back in the 50s, those ideas were... It's almost like back in the not in the 50s. It was.
We're dealing with wartime too.
Yeah,
we're dealing post-war time. Post-war time, but still.
Back then, during the civil rights movements and stuff like that, it was a concept that was easy to grasp. You would think it's like, okay, don't hurt each other, don't be dumbasses.
Yeah,
like
Mississippi burning,
exactly. And then today's it's I think it's a little more complex today, where it seems like there is just more people fighting amongst each other. It seemed to be like now there's smaller groups within groups just kind of crashing into each other, right? And divided.
It all comes back down to what I think the motion picture reflects, which Star Trek has always reflected, and ultimately boils down to is, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to feel? How do you define that? How do you define humanity?
I choose, this is my choice. I choose not to think in that. I choose to think that humanity needs to evolve beyond humanity. We need to stop
assimilate
being humans and start being something else, because humanity has, as much as it has beautiful and connotations, and there is both sides to things. Yeah, we can evolve. We can evolve to something else.
We could definitely assimilate.
Is Kirk unit coming?
Yeah. that's what V'ger also reminded me of, and it also just reminded me of. So have you finished Picard now?
I have not.
Okay.
So I'm halfway through. I think I'm on episode 9. So I'm just at where 7 of 9 comes back. So I'm almost there. So what's her name? Not Dodge, but the sister. I forget her name now. Soji. She's with Picard now. And I just finished the Riker episode. The Rikers. I know. I was like, yeah. As soon as I saw that cabin, I was like, it's the Rikers.
I was so happy. It was nice to see all of them.
Their narrative was
very
not
interesting.
only heartbreaking, but
yes,
that through line that is okay, it's heartbreaking and my heart is broken, but I can move on past this.
The whole series is heartbreaking.
This darkness. It's so good. And you know what? It was an interesting choice what they did with those characters, because I love the Rikers. When I talk about Picard, he's my captain, but Diana Troy and Will Riker, I would have loved to see them interact a lot more on the Enterprise, and because I just like their dynamic together.
That's something that Tiana and I talked about too. Like how in the Next Generation it was very will they, won't they, push and pull. Riker was very on off.
Fucking years.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough. All until they finally get married.
Year 10, she starts dating Worf.
Yeah, the fact that it takes until Nemesis for them to officially be married is pretty brutal.
Oh, I am sure they're doing something behind the scenes. I'm sure when they were off duty, they went back to their cabins and everything was okay, I'm no longer commander.
You know what? Tiana showed me William Shatner's documentary, the Captain documentary. Oh my God.
The Captains?
Yes, the Captains. Literally. Oh my God, it's beautiful. That was beautiful. And listening to them all.
Did one now.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Patrick Stewart just came out with one. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, listening to them all describe how being, being a TV star does affect your relationships, because you're not coming home at hours that work for anyone in a family. You know what I mean? And they were having a family life that just, and that's rough. Even Patrick Stewart, like looking like the pain in his eyes when he was trying to not really talk about his marriages, but he kind of like briefly addressed them. I was like, oh man, damn, you had a rough time, man. You had a rough time. Love is not easy. Love life.
It worked out.
It did work out in the end. But I think Tiana pointed out, and I haven't looked this up yet. Don't sue me, Patrick Stewart. But isn't your girlfriend kind of young? I don't know. I don't know.
You know what? I'll give him a pass.
I'll give him a pass. He's Professor X. It's fine. He's Picard.
It's Sir Patrick Stewart.
It's fun.
No. He's not Picard. He's not Professor X.
He is in real life.
He has all. He is a treasure and a gem. Have you seen him do Shakespeare? Like, have you?
Of course.
But I mean, have you watched which one? Hamlet.
Yes.
With him as Polonius.
Yes.
The guy's a fucking gem, man.
It's beautiful. No, I mean, yeah. He can never die. He can never die. No, we have to keep him alive for as long as possible.
I think Chris pointed out. I think we were watching his sonnets, and she's looking at his hands. He's like, I think he has arthritis, and he's some sort of rheumatoid or something like that, arthritis. And I'm like,
I mean,
what do you mean? She's like, oh, and she points it to his hands. It's like, look at his knuckles. They're all just like.
The narrative of Picard will make a lot more sense with that in mind moving forward. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah. I definitely. Well, he's dying.
Yeah,
right?
He's getting older.
We know he's dying.
He's not a young cub anymore.
Well, that's that. Ever since you said "old man Picard" to me, that's what I've been calling this, and it's very much that storyline. It's Picard just having one last adventure, and that's what I love. I don't know if there should be a season 2 though. Should there be a season 2? I guess they're gonna leave off on a cliffhanger. That's gonna explode my mind.
I am intrigued by what season 2 has to offer.
Wasn't this always supposed to be a miniseries?
Spoilers. Not necessarily. I think initially maybe they had tossed it around, but a lot of things aren't miniseries these days. I think they always keep it open until the last minute. So just depends on the creative writer's room, basically. And then this one they decided, you know what, we got enough narrative juice in us for 2 seasons, which might also explain. This is the problem, is that they didn't. And this is also I don't know. Discovery actually, I think, has enough episodes per season. It's just not my kind of Trek. I'm not really. I don't know. I haven't been digging it as much. I need to get into it a bit more. I think I haven't really watched a lot of it. I've been watching a lot of old stuff, so. But just not enough episodes per season to really give the narrative room to Well,
that's why you should plan it as a miniseries, as an anthology series or something.
That would be cool.
I like smaller narratives. I like micro narratives, right? And I think because sometimes there is a beginning, middle, and end, and you could always pick up with a new narrative somewhere down the line. But I have an anthology, Star Trek anthology series, because I think they were talking about bringing Janeway back too.
Yeah, I heard that. And I personally want to see. Yeah, I don't know. My idea was for a Cisco TV series where you follow, Jake Cisco and his son or daughter on their adventures or misadventures to find maybe to find Ben again, to find his dad or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or maybe to stop a conspiracy within Starfleet. I don't know.
Oh, that would be cool.
But something cool like that. And then eventually you could have a cameo by Cisco, Cisco.
Yeah.
And you could have different characters appear from different. Anyway, that was my idea.
I like that. Cool. That's cool. Well, the fact that the one thing I like about Picard, and I know now Picard is taking over, is
Star Trek the motion picture discussion.
There is that cross pollination though of characters, and that's just that is so amazing because it totally rounds out the universe.
It's crazy. I always, every time I watch the movie, every time I hear the theme, to Star Trek, the Next Generation, I get goosebumps immediately.
Yeah, totally. Like you just want to go through space with a year. That's like, yeah. Let's smoke another bowl, dude. Let's go again.
Yeah, exactly.
Go through space.
I told Tiana I'm building a spaceship and I'm going to abduct her, and there's nothing she can do about it. And we're just gonna fly, through space. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, we'll come back when this pandemic is over.
Exactly. This pandemic. We got to get rid of these pandas.
Panda.
People. These pandas are overrunning our city. I'm telling you, I have never seen so many pandas in the streets. They're falling out of the goddamn roofs and eavesdrops. They're falling out of the sky. I'm telling you, we got to kill these pandas, people. They're everywhere. I don't know where they came from. Apparently, they said a zoo truck or a train fell out of the... Oh, my God. It's just been a disaster.
I'll take these pandas over koalas any day. Those koalas, have you seen those fuckers?
They are not quality
those
koalas.
Those are some scary shit. Sure. They are not... They're not teddy bears. That's for sure.
They have salmonella. No, chlamydia. That's what it was.
Chlamydia. Yes, that's what it was.
Don't touch koalas.
By the koalas. This is why I'm saying don't go to Australia. It's the deadliest place on the planet.
maybe the motto is touch the koalas. Don't let the koalas touch you. You have gloves on. You touch the koala. You can't let it touch you, though. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not touching anything with chlamydia.
Yeah, that's fair. You know what? That's your choice. It's your body. I'm not gonna. You don't have to risk it. Just
all right. We've gone from Star Trek motion picture to Next Gen to Picard to chlamydia.
This was an important segue into our discussion about STDs and why you, at a time like this in quarantine, should protect yourself from... Why am I looking down there? I'm going to look up at you. Listen, sexually transmitted...
Me? Are you talking to me?
No, them, not you, them. STIs are a serious problem, and if you don't protect yourself, you could get one, so do that. This is not an ad for anything in particular. This is a PSA. Or a penis. Sorry.
You shouldn't be out there getting strange right now anyway.
That's also true. Don't be out there getting no strange. Not at a time like... What? I fucking did it again. I'm looking at you. Don't go out getting strange. I don't know why he's not getting out there getting strange. He's got it inside. It's fine. Anyway.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's the real motto. And if Starfleet had washed their hands, maybe V'ger wouldn't have happened. No, I don't know. V'ger was just, a freak accident, basically. That's that is such a strange and interesting concept. But that's why I'm fascinated by the fact that Star Trek kind of takes that concept of humans and machines merging and what that means, and the search for creators and God, and kind of that concept evolves over time through Star Trek. First you get Data, and then you get the Borg, and lore, and then you get the Borg, and then you get just so many different ideas, and then Data's daughter in the Next Generation. He had a daughter in that too in an episode. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So that's interesting.
That's the precursor to where Picard
picks up.
Exactly. The idea of Data creating life, because there were that show had a lot of narrative threads dating back to Generation.
Yeah,
which was great, picking out all those Easter eggs, because there was a lot of callbacks to the 10 seasons, the career of Trek. And that's been definitely a through line, was the idea of we think about it from the beginning of our own human consciousness. We have looked up at the stars and said, "This is God."
Right.
This is the Creator.
That's true.
Looked up, and the thing is, as we evolved and became more aware of beyond our atmosphere, that there were other things out there. Where is God? And that's kind of what Voyager was all about. Like what Voyager,
Yes.
the Voyager program
Yes.
was the exploration of saying, okay, what is out there? Is there other life forms besides us? What?
Exactly.
And that's the exploration. And Voyager, now becoming V'ger, becoming the sentient life form, has forgotten where it, well, has never known where it's come from, right? Like we're just here,
yeah,
right? And it's all over. It's a repeating narrative. Now it's on its return basis to Earth in search for its creator, and because it needs to evolve, right?
Right.
And is that what we're doing? Are we still doing that in 2020? Are we still looking for our creators? Are we evolving?
True. And I think we're forced to ask that question, especially in our current political climate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, regardless of the pandemic, you know,
we have stayed the same, man. We are not evolving at all. And you know what? Because I was reading an article this morning, which was talking about what the world would look like after the pandemic, and a lot of people are suggesting that it will just go back to business as normal. Like everybody there's going to be a huge influx of people saying, okay, buy, because we have to save the economy. And then we are going back into this consumerist idea and of picking ourselves up where we just left off. And
right.
That's a terrifying thought, because this pandemic is showing what our society is really, not only has potential, but it's really flawed. There's potential in some sectors to evolve and recreate certain places of labor,
right.
And there is certain flaws, like the education system. Like this thing hit, and nobody knew what to do, and
that's true,
completely. Like I just filled up my gas tank for 83 cents, and I came home and I was looking at Kristen. I was like, Jesus Christ, I have filled up the gas tank at that price since I was a teenager. I looked at it. I was like, I was gonna go in and ask the guys, like, hey, can I get a pack of cigarettes for $5 too?
Yeah, no doubt. Like, wow. Yeah, it's different times, man. I'm ready to write my all my post-apocalyptic ideas. They're all coming to me really vividly right now. No, me and Rachel were watching the Hunger Games the other night, and I just bawled my goddamn eyes out. It was terrible. But I think, as Rachel pointed out, because it's just it hits closer to home right now, watching that than it would have, you know, a year ago, because we're currently in a situation where the government is having to exert stricter and stricter control over our movement and what we can purchase, what we can do. So yeah, it is scary times. But on the other hand, you know, if you're Katniss Everdeen, revolution. No, but I think revolution does happen, and I think
But the thing is, there's the other hand though.
Yeah.
We need these restrictions on us. We need to have a government that's telling people to stay home. We need it because basically what the government is doing is treating its population like a fucking child. Because
just like they treated V'ger like a child.
Yes.
Although V'ger was threatening to assimilate the entire planet. But still, you know... That was literally Spock's whole thing.
Fine lines.
Yeah, fine lines. No, but true. It's, you know, it's true, I guess, right?
Sorry to steer your thought there.
But that is true, though. Sometimes it is what you have to do, because clearly that is what the government has had to do, is to treat the public like children, because some people are just so self-conceited or just so ignorant. Not even necessarily selfish, just literally ignorant, that they just don't pay attention and don't care, you know? So sometimes it's what's needed to keep everybody safe. It can be for the greater good. And then there's that notion of the greater good. What is the greater good? Is it greater? And is it good?
What is good for the one? Is it good for the many?
Yes. Yes. I was like, I don't know. You know what? I read Hannah Winger sent me a short horror story, which was amazing. It was set in like this gothic castle, and this 13-year-old boy wanders in, and it's this ghost story.
Yeah.
And it was really wicked. And for some reason, I got the urge to read it. I recorded myself on Audacity reading it in a like Sir Ian McKellen voice, just very, hello Charles, very like this, So it's good. I'm gonna try and cut around, play with it. I played an Australian police officer in a production of Picnic at Hanging Rock. I'll have you know.
Oh, what's your Australian accent?
Well, I used to get into it, I would practice by watching Hugh Jackman host the Oscars, and every time he'd say, Anne Hathaway, Anne Hathaway. There it is. I got it. There it is. I found it. Oh my God, Anne Hathaway.
You found it?
Yes.
Anne Hathaway.
I was Constable Bumfer.
Anne Hathaway.
I was a bumbling police officer. It was a fun role, though. It was really fun. And, Nikki Ferrera played my wife. We had a cute scene together near the end. It was a creepy ghost story. It was fun. Cool. Yeah. Off topic, but
that's okay.
Star Trek just makes me think of so many things. That's literally the thing about Star Trek too, though. Despite the fact that it is sci-fi, it kind of bends that genre label. And always kind of, I just mean in the sense that it explores other genres through sci-fi. You know what I mean?
That's
like the Sherlock Holmes episode of The Next Generation doesn't feel like, spaceships shooting lasers in space is all I'm saying. It's always been gray. It's not,
Well, that's the thing
kind of
about
what I love
the
about
genre. The genre is...
Yeah, it's very
pop
open
culture,
to that. It's very open to that.
That's pop culture. That's postmodernism. That's what everything is past 1960, man. Is that it's genre bending. It's this blending, and sci-fi has always been that encouraged the two genres to mesh. I mean, you definitely have always had those like even in comics, the two different books getting together to fight, like Spider-Man versus Captain America would go and fight, and those are two different kinds of genres within the comic book genre.
That being said, I think things still run the risk of becoming formulaic, though, right? I mean, that's why certain things fail and why other things just don't. Or some things also run the risk of being too different. I mean, like the DCEU, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not necessarily saying different is like good or, like justifiably good and being unjustifiably panned. But I'm just saying that sometimes, it just doesn't work out. A unique take sometimes just isn't, or a different take on a familiar subject or property just doesn't always work out, which is why Star Trek the Motion Picture is an interesting experiment, I think. And what I was going to say earlier is I think it's telling, as Tiana pointed out, she owns the novelization, that it is the only film novelization that Gene Roddenberry himself has ever written. And I think that's...
I did not know that.
Yep. He wrote it himself. And is the only one he's written. So that's pretty monumental to me. I think
that is important. That is important. That is very important. Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I got to read that now. Because that just, that bends my mind. I was just like, okay, this movie must have something way more deep within that mythology that he created. And this is why, like, when people start talking about the death of the author, sometimes the author is very, very important. I mean, that the author is the creator, right? And this is, you can look at it as through that lens of Star Trek as like Gene Roddenberry's creation, and he's talking about creating art and how art works.
Right.
Anyways, is there any final thoughts you want to talk about before we wrap up here? Because we're getting at the hour mark now. So
when Spock said computer in the film, my Alexa lit up, and it was weird. It interrupted the film. No,
what does that mean?
Well, exactly. What the film was speaking to contemporary technology. What does that say about everything.
There's nothing. It says your Alexa. Your Alexa is too sensitive because my Google Home, it picks up everything too.
As sensitive as my
Kristen
nipples.
When Kristen talks to it, it ignores her. It does not work whatsoever.
That's rude.
Yeah, it doesn't like her.
The Alexa out in the kitchen kind of did that to Rachel at first for a while. It wouldn't recognize her voice. We had to calibrate it because it was being a choosy bitch. But we got it all figured out. What are your final thoughts on Star Trek, the motion picture? Because I think ultimately my final thoughts, what I will say seriously, is that it's a film about identity. It's about the series searching for a new identity. It's about the characters reasserting their identities and finding new evolutions of those identities in the process too. And I think ultimately that's what carries it forward into the next several films, which I'm going to rewatch because it's been forever. But I mean, yeah,
it's definitely a narrative through line throughout all the films about all those topics that are addressed in the motion picture. It's nice throughout the other films that more the cast get more lines. Like I was just thinking about like Uhura got no screen time in this movie whatsoever, which was a shame. But how do you fit so many characters into this already huge narrative and long narrative? I think like the only problem I had was that it's just a really, really long. It's a very thought-provoking film. There's a lot of things you could talk about in this film. But if you can actually manage to get to the end of the film without, falling asleep too many times, then, that would be, it's a good film to sit down and think about afterwards, and think about your own humanity and think about what it means to be a human being or what it means to be constantly looking towards the sky and seeing into a future that of harmony and possibility and discovery and exploration, exactly. And explanation, because there's explanations and all of that.
A lot of techno babble. It's great. No, but I do love Star Trek for that, and I just love Star Trek in general. And Tayana will fight you in a Denny's parking lot because she's threatened your life. She believes her knowledge of Star Trek is superior to yours. And
probably.
You two will have to duke that out. I promise to film it. I will not be driving the van. But she
probably has way more because I haven't been through Enterprise.
Oh my God! Come on, man!
I have not finished DS9. I have not finished Voyager.
Voyager and Enterprise are like my jam. Toss that on, give me a big bowl of mashed potatoes. I could sit there for a week and a half just eating that shit up.
Yeah. I liked Voyager because I watched it when it aired.
I remember. Yeah, exactly.
I watched the first couple seasons. But after that, I was just like, now streaming came on. There's so much to watch. Okay, I can't catch up on everything.
How dare you fall behind?
Like 20. How many fucking years of Star Trek do we have?
How dare you fall behind? Like, just shameful, honestly.
40 years of Star Trek. I can't catch up, okay?
Too much content. Whatever. No, that's okay. Yeah, I agree. It's tough. I'm trying to watch DS9 and the original series, and I gave up on Discovery for now. So I'm just focusing on the past right now. But I'm trying to bounce between those. But there's so much other stuff that I want to watch too. So it's like, literally.
Yeah, too much content.
And I want to read and write and all that.
For sure. I'm trying to get through a book. I'm trying to start up my poetry on there. So if anybody's listening out there, if you guys are all into poetry, I've been posting my spoken word stuff on Midnight Dreamscapes on Facebook. So you can like and follow that. That'd be great. I've been starting up my YouTube channel this week as well, which I've been posting spoken word on there. There's going to be some more stuff. I'm going to be posting prompts, and I'm hoping next week that I could start actually giving those little tiny lessons of poetry, because this is my jam. This is what I'm all about. I'm a huge poet as much as I am a cinephile, and I love this podcast. The other side of me is the poetic side. So if you out there want to take advantage of that, Midnight Dreamscapes on Facebook, and you can find me on YouTube under Midnight Dreamscapes as well.
I'm currently still at Afrotastic on most platforms. Funnyman519 on YouTube right now, but I'm working on putting something together. I got to finish my student marking first. Otherwise, that Fro Ninja journal for a dude with high hopes and low funds on WordPress. And my Instagram account. Yeah, those are my main places for posting most stuff. And medium.com if you ever hang out around there. Look me up.
That's only to talk to us individually, but you can definitely talk to both of us on our Twitter, our Twitter, our Facebook page, and our Instagram page at High on Hollywood, which is now up and running.
And YouTube.
Oh yeah, there's our YouTube channel. So we're everywhere. Holy crap!
Hi, YouTube.
Everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we're on so many. Like, just find us on your social medias, and you know what? Come and talk to us, because we're really, really bored.
Airdrop drop a letter and send a messenger pigeon in this time of pandemic. Don't touch my hands, but I will virtually shake your hands, virtually hug you. I will virtually kiss your baby for you on the forehead. I'm willing to do that for you. So
touch my babies.
No, don't say that. That's like the moment in freaking School of Rock where he's like, Your kids have touched me, and I've touched them. And the parents are like, oh my god,
That's not what I meant.
Yeah. Right. Oh.
All right.
Yeah. We are High on Hollywood, and we are high, and we are saying goodbye. Thank you for watching.
Have a good night.
Or day, depending on when you're watching, right? You don't know. How could you assume something like it? How